It's time to talk about the Orlando Magic. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and Daddy is just a state of mind. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Yeah, thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we're available on all platforms. Subscribe, double bang, comment. And also comment, and you'll never know what's coming, because this is the third show that I'm dropping today, because I realize I'm a little bit behind schedule on the team review shows, so we're going to be banging out a lot of them over the next couple of weeks to get us ready before the NBA draft. Still going to have draft content mixed in, but a lot more team review shows coming. So this is another one here on National Donald Duck Day. The big fella Donald is getting a lot of play at the moment, much like the Orlando Magic theme song, which gets a lot of play, not as much as we might hope at times. But let's talk about this Magic season, a team with one of the worst offenses, well, not one of the worst, the literally worst offense in the NBA, an embarrassingly bad offense at times, yet still this team was very, very good. They finished 41-41. They went on a incredibly hot streak early in the season when Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner went down, and things tailed off when those guys came back. Now, I don't believe it's because those guys came back. I believe it's because Jalen Suggs was out, and I think he is the key driver of this team. He's not their best player. And we have this discussion all the time. This is always my number one example of this. Paolo might be their best player. Franz might be their best player. Debate it. That's fine. But when you don't have a 40% shooting defensive wizard who is the heart and soul of the team there, Jalen Suggs, you struggle. That's hard to replace that. It's hard to replace the other guys, obviously. But that sort of a player like Suggs is very, very hard to replace. And that was one of the largest reasons I think that they fell off as much as they did, was just that Suggs injury. They finished 41-41. They found themselves in the playoffs. They got done by the Celtics. They were solid, but without having Suggs there, it's just going to be difficult for them to get those victories. They have a lot of picks. Pick 16, pick 25, which is part of the Aaron Gordon deal, I believe, from Denver. Pick 46, and then a very, very late one. Pick number 57 from the Boston Celtics. So they've got some opportunities to improve the squad. In terms of free agency, there's not much actually happening with this team. They are one of probably the largest exponent in the league of giving out team options, unlike the Lakers and their player options. So Mo Wagner, Gary Harris, Cory Joseph, and Caleb Houston all have team options. Mo Wagner, who's maybe that's also probably another part of the reason they struggled, is losing Mo Wagner and his key bench scoring, tore his ACL. He's got an $11 million player option. He also had the same thing heading into last season. They declined it and they signed him to another 1+1 or 1-1 with the team option on there. So we'll see if they do any sort of shenanigans or finagling with that. But obviously he's Franz's brother and he's a key reserve on this squad. The other guys like Gary Harrison, $7.5 million. The only reason you would pick that team option up is to include him in a trade. Cory Joseph, who was playing inexplicable minutes towards the end of the season, who just isn't up to it, but for some reason, they went back to him. He's got a $3.5 million team option, and Caleb Houston at $2.2 million. And I'm not really sure Houston's an NBA player, and I'm pretty sure that Joseph shouldn't be getting those minutes, and Harris, no reason to be paying him that money. So there could be some changes in that regard, but the only other free agents they've got, or any other decisions they've made, no other non-guarantees, no player options, no unrestricted free agents. It's just the two-way players who are restricted. Yas Queen, Trevelin Queen, and slam dunk champion, who probably played the fewest minutes of anybody who was healthy in the NBA this season, McClung. Now, will they bring McClung back again to get him back into the dunk contest? I doubt it. We don't need to worry too much about those guys, would be my guess. Let's talk Magic. Let's talk the over 25s on this squad, and the second show, which will come tomorrow, we're going to look at the under 25s, which is going to include Suggs and Paolo and Franz. But let's start with a much maligned player, understandably so, Wendell Carter Jr. But the thing that I will say with Wendell is that no matter how poorly he plays at times or when he gets hurt, he always finds his way back. He always gets back into a starting job. He always gets back into putting up okay and reasonable numbers. And that's probably as kind as I can be to Wendell and his production at the moment. 9 and 70 average, half a three. 2 assists, 0.6 blocks, 46 only from the field, 23 from three. Go back and look at his early career numbers playing for the Bulls, and I'm convinced that Jim Boylan ruined a lot of this guy's career. He was blocking shots. He was able to shoot threes. He was passing. And now, what is this? Now, he did get injured early in the season. He lost his starting spot to Goga Bitadze, and Bitadze held the spot. But then, of course, things reverted as we got back to the end of the season, and Goga ended up being out of the rotation yet again. And Wendell was back starting. You'll notice his metric numbers did dip, and that's fair because I thought that he's been a serviceable starting center for a few years. I thought he dropped off considerably. He only played 26 minutes a game with 16 usage, and obviously we didn't care about him too much for fantasy. He averaged almost 24 fantasy points a game. It isn't hard to see how he can get back to be maybe like a 14-team league guy. Play 29 minutes, get 12 points with your 8 rebounds, get to 3 assists maybe. Like, for God's sake, block 1 shot a game, shoot 50%. Like, that, they don't sound like they're outrageous requests. But he didn't do it, and he might not ever do it. He's still only 26. So when we look at the regular peak of an NBA player, the time to look at it is 27 to 29. So he's not even there yet, even though it feels like he's been around forever, and he's had multiple phases of his career. I don't know that I trust him to stay healthy. I do worry about his knees in particular. The same trio of centers are probably going to be back, which can impact what he does. But it's not out of the realms of possibility that Carter could step up a little bit. I'm going to be pretty doubtful of it, and I'd have no future stock in him in dynasty formats, and I'd have no interest whatsoever in drafting him in redraft leagues or anything like that. But I'm not going to say that this is the story on Wendell. 9 and 7, 2 assists, 0.6 blocks. I know he can be better. And he's not 30. He is undersized. And I think that if they could upgrade at center, they would probably really like to. But that option hasn't come around just yet. So we're in an interesting spot. Now, there'll be some of you who'll be sitting there and say, well, they had the opportunity to upgrade at center, Josh, and he's on the roster. His name is the Dart, Goga Bitadze. And Goga did this last year when Wendell was out. Goga started, was pretty good. When Wendell was out this season, Goga started, and honestly, was pretty good. But Jamal Mosley, for whatever reason, does not believe in it. And we saw at the end of the season that Goga wasn't even getting backup minutes, even with Mo Wagner hurt. We're getting Jonathan Isaac backup center minutes. So Goga ended up as the 185th ranked player. He was 114th pre-trade deadline, and a lot of that's the period where Wendell was hurt, but 240th after it. He averaged 7 and 7, 1.4 blocks and 61%. Of course, he shot 11% from 3. You'll notice his Darko Delta number is pretty positive, 84th percentile. He can test shots at an okay rate. He passes fairly well, 2 assists a game for him, same as Wendell, but in fewer minutes. He's a really good defensive center. He doesn't have quite the stretchability of Wendell, although Wendell not a good shooter either, just a better shooter than Goga. I have long believed in Goga as a very strong starting center. I lost some faith when he was cut from the Pacers and then caught on with the Magic. And then we saw some really good play from him and some really good defensive stuff. But when the team that he's on, when he's showing those things, has no faith in him for 2 years in a row, I'm going to have some doubts about where that leads us. Why is it that Jamal Mosley, even though we see him play well and there's numbers that look good, what is it that is causing the problem that enables Goga to move from starting to the bench to out of the rotation like clockwork? That's got to be the concern here. Now, like Wendell, he's only 26, but he's never been a starting center for any period of time. He's been a fill-in starting center, but he's never been that guy who just gets that job and runs with it and plays solidly for a long and consistent period of time. So, and he's another one of these guys you've got to be really wary. And someone gave me an idea, do a show. Hey, Josh, when you're talking about these Yahoo total rankings, you should do a show highlighting the outrageous ones, the ones that look, that are real traps, that look silly, because Goga is ranked 102nd on Yahoo's 9cat total ranks for the season. 7, 6.5, 2 assists, 1.4 blocks. Bro. Like, again, that would suggest that you are a 9th round player. And you're not. He is a guy that we will have absolutely zero consideration in drafting in 10 or 12 or 14 team leagues. He's 26, the same as Wendell. He's going to be the primary backup again, I'm guessing. But when Mo Wagner is there, how much does he play? Again, he was out of the rotation to begin the season when Wendell and Mo were healthy. So he flashes, giggity, not Josh Primo, but he flashes some interesting performances. He flashes really good defense. He flashes high field goals, good rim protection. But it never comes together. It never seems to last. And after getting rug pulled, shout out Darren Fox, 2 years in a row with Goga Bitadze, my level of faith in him ascending and establishing that role, it's pretty low at this point. We're going to come back and talk about the third one of those centers in a sec. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by Monarch Money. You ever check in on your bank account and wonder, where did all the money go? You're dining out, it's online shopping, subscription services, entertainment, sporting events, whatever it is. It can be easy to lose track of your money, and that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. It's not just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center tracking all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you can stop just managing your money and you can start building wealth. When you start using Monarch, you see how much you're spending on something like food delivery. You can itemize it and you see, and you go, wow, it's probably too much. Maybe we need to pull that back in. And that enables you to budget smarter and save more. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com. The code is LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. We've talked about the first two centers. Now we're going to talk about the third center, Mo Wagner, who is, I don't know if he's quite, is he the best permanent fantasy producer, or is that Goga? I don't know. Wagner was putting up some pretty strong numbers to begin the season. He is an incredibly high usage, high efficiency backup big man. Think like a Montrezl Harrell, but somehow even more efficient. He shot 36% on his threes. He was 56% from the field. He averaged 13 points in 19 minutes on 27 usage. And this is a team that is bereft of shot creation and offensive talent. Losing Mo was important. He only played 30 games. He was the 186th ranked player despite playing under 20 minutes a night. His deflection rate is really high for some reason, 93rd percentile. He's a high 78th percentile offensive load guy despite 19 minutes. What he does is he gets the ball, he scores, he does it really efficiently, he can space the floor a little bit now, he can pass a little bit now, and he knows his role, he knows his lane. He's not going to be a shot blocker, he's not going to be a defender. He goes out there in limited minutes, he puts up big scoring numbers. You get points, you get some rebounds, you get some good field goals, you get solid free throws, you get a little bit of threes. And yeah, that's a really solid streamable type option for a lot of category leagues. Points leagues, look, you average 23, like top 170 player. That's streamable. When we talk a standard points league, we're 12 teams, 13 guys, 156 players rostered. If you have IL slots, if you just have 12 guys on IL through the league, you're at 168, which is bang on where he was at 23 fantasy points. So this is very clearly a streamable player for points and for categories, and get him to 21 minutes, which he might not be able to do, but in 21 minutes, what if he gets to 14 points? What if the 56 goes to 58? It's not an outrageous thought. He is older than both Wendell and Goga, so yeah, knock a little bit off there, and coming back off an ACL, he'll be a little bit down earlier in the season. He's 28 now. I expect that he's back with that team option, and he's just that useful. Hey, I need some points at high efficiency. Hey, let's try Mo Wagner. More waiver wire than anything else. Never going to be a starting center. If you're talking long-term dynasty, the fit is probably absolutely perfect here. I can't imagine another team needing that much usage coming out of the reserve big men. But he's on this team now, and I imagine he'll be on this team for the foreseeable future. Shout out Steve Kerr. And that's where we're at. Let's move away from big men now to talk about their big off-season acquisition, which made a lot of sense to go out there and sign Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And if Goga Bitadze's Yahoo totals 9cat ranking is a warning sign, this is the gold standard warning sign. Because I don't think that anybody here would suggest that Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had a good year. He's 32. You might say that the Magic overspent and it was a bad signing, which I understand because he didn't play well. He averaged under 9 points. He shot 34% from three only. And the reason you want him out there is to defend and to hit threes. And he had 1.3 steals. He shot 86 from the line, but he was 257th in points leagues. He was 189th for category leagues. His Darko and Drip Delta were both in the bottom third. 37th percentile in Darko and 28th in Drip. His deflections down to 46th percentile. His offensive load, 11th percentile. Usage of 12. 30 minutes a game. These are all horrendous numbers. Guess where he ranked on Yahoo's 9cat total number? And I think this will be my go-to when someone wants to quote a ranking number from a Yahoo totals scenario to tell me the value of a player. KCP was ranked 93rd. Top 100. That's an 8th round player. For 2.2 rebounds, 1.8 assists, 1.5 threes, which is below average, 1.3 steals, 44 from the field, 0.4 blocks. These are horrendous numbers. Horrendous. 93rd. Chuck it in the bin. If you want a reason why to never, ever play in category leagues, view those numbers as anything of value to you, this is it. 93rd for KCP. Bruh. Just for the absurdity of it, because KCP is not a 10 or 12 or 14 team league draftable player next season or moving forward. His value in the Magic should be 100% looking to upgrade this position and probably play him 28 minutes a night. But he's going to show up as a top 100 player in fantasy. And I'll give you some names who ranked behind him. Jalen Brown. Seems legit, doesn't it? Jalen Brown ranked behind him. And yeah, I could almost just stop there, and you know how silly that is. What other names can we go to? Bradley Beal. There you go. I know you won't say that Bradley Beal had a great season, but behind KCP. Donovan Clingan. Okay. Was he great? Not necessarily. PJ Washington. Dante DiVincenzo. Shaden Sharp. There you go. There's an interesting one for you. CJ McCollum. Ja Morant. Now, obviously, games played is an impact there on Ja without any question. Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, games played, an impact on him. But it just goes to show just how little these numbers mean or how confusing they can be. Because in no world is KCP that player. So just be very, very cautious when you're taking in information or hearing stuff or seeing references or seeing it on a website or whatever it is as to what it actually means. Because KCP is not a 10, a 12, a 14 team league player. He's 32. These minutes could fall off completely in a year or two. And then he clearly has no value when we get to that spot. We've got a couple more of these veteran type players to get to. Before we do that though, today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. The NBA finals are here, and that means that we got this great deal from DoorDash and DashPass, a slam dunk deal in fact, for the NBA playoffs. It's called They Swoosh and You Save. So any time a player drops 50 points or more in a playoff game, DashPass members score a free 3-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the very next day. You just place an order of $20 or more and use the code WINGSTOP50 at checkout, and that combo is yours. Crispy, delicious, and totally free. The offer is valid noon through to midnight the day after the game. Terms apply as per usual, but you might be watching a game, someone's dropped to 50, you're all hyped, you're excited, and you might have been excited, hey, I'm going to get some wings. So just hold that thought for a second, because the next day, you can just get them free. You just place your order of $20 or more and get the 3 crispy tenders on top of your Wingstop order. What a W that is. So sign up for DashPass to unlock this and more exclusive deals all season long. So when any player scores a 50 plus in a playoff game, DashPass members can grab a 3-piece free crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the next day with a $20 plus order and code WINGSTOP50. That is DashPass, your door to more savings, more flavor, and more ways to win. Terms apply. Okay, so let's continue on with the 25 and over Orlando Magic team. Well, this gives you an idea of what this team is. They're 41 and 41, and their best player from a fantasy perspective who's over the age of 25 is Wendell Carter. Then it's Goga and KCP and Mo Wagner. Their good players are all incredibly young. And we're going to see them develop over the next couple of years and see what they can get to. The next guy is a player that used to be a fantasy stud. Another guy that was completely overrated by the Yahoo ranking system, and that is Jonathan Isaac. With so many knee injuries Isaac is 28 years of age now. The per-minute magic of John has worn off somewhat. He only managed 15 minutes a night. Now, there is still some of that per-minute value there. The problem is that with all the injuries, even with players out, they wouldn't play him more because he can't do it anymore. His level of play is not there. 4th percentile in Darko's Delta, 25th on drip, 18th percentile offensive load. His deflection numbers still pretty high, 88th. Rim contest, 86th. Excellent. But when we're talking multiple centers being out, we're talking forwards being out in Wagner and Banchero, and bro still only averaged 15 minutes. Now, he did get through 71 games. They just wouldn't play him. He did get some backup center minutes during the end of the season, but he just isn't the same guy. 26% from 3, 41% overall. 0.9 steals and 1.1 blocks in 15 minutes is excellent. Push that to 30 minutes, double it up, 2 steals, 2 blocks. It's great. In the past, he's been at like 2.3 steals and 2.4 blocks, like that, but that's still amazing. 8.8 rebounds in that time. Very good. But offensively, it's sort of gone. Can't shoot, can't really score, low usage player. The health and the strength is not where it used to be. Isaac used to be a guy that, you could talk, wow, maybe he could be a first-round player if he ever played 30 minutes. I think that was always a little bit overblown, but he was a guy that could be some points, above average points marginally, but rebounds, threes, steals, blocks, solid percentages. That's not anymore. He's 28, so we're right in the middle there, but given the fact of those multiple injuries, you'd have to suggest he's more like, in terms of NBA age, he's like 30, 31. Like on that downside, lost a lot of the athleticism, the explosion, and the shooting hasn't caught up to it. And this was the season where there were times when we go, well, maybe we'll try Isaac, we'll add him, and we'll see what we get. And it didn't work. It wasn't that it didn't work because he would play and then get hurt. It was that they just wouldn't play him. And like the steals and the blocks are still there. So if he got 26 minutes, we'd actually be pretty good. We'd be laughing. He'd be putting up great numbers. But he can't play that much anymore. The coaching staff doesn't want him to play that much anymore. And he has been sort of relatively healthy the last 2 years now. And you just think that those injuries have probably cooked him overall. Yeah. Trevelin Queen had some moments earlier in the season on a two-way deal. He is older for a two-way player. But they had a bunch of injuries earlier in the season. There was Cole Anthony was out and Suggs was out as well. And Queen was starting games. In the end, though, he played just 31 games, 14 minutes a night. He averaged 12 fantasy points. He had 5 points a game and ended up shooting 29% from 3 and under 40% from the field. Like I said, he's 28. So we're not talking about an undiscovered player on a two-way who they're seeing what he can do. This is what he can do. He's had a few moments back playing for Philadelphia, a couple of little cameos. He was pretty solid and relatively reliable at times. But in the end, he ended up losing minutes and roles to Cory Joseph. So while there were some interesting performances and the steal rate for him was incredibly good, deflections 98th percentile, that was good. And there were some interesting offensive things at times. The shooting was bad. And like a few of these guys, he just fell away as the season went on. And I don't really see much for Queen in terms of working his way into being a rotation guy. But I said the same thing about Cory Joseph because bro has been terrible. I don't know why the Orlando Magic signed him in the offseason. He was washed up 3 years ago. And at the end of the season, he was starting games. He ended up playing 50 games and only 12 minutes a game with 3.5 points and 1.5 assists. He shot 36% from 3, and there's absolutely nothing in this profile when I look at Cory Joseph to suggest that, that's justified. Let's see what he can do with more minutes. He's 34. Nothing in any of his advanced profile stuff that looks interesting. Drip actually saw him improving a lot, 86th percentile, which I get because he was terrible the year before and he had a few okay moments, but still, you don't want to rely upon this guy. And theoretically, you want Suggs, you want Anthony, and you want Mr. Black to be your point guard rotation / shooting guard rotation, and KCP doing a little bit more, and hopefully someone like Jett Howard standing up at some point and doing something. So while we got some moments from Cory Joseph, again, absolutely unbelievably that he was playing, we had to talk about him. His permanent production's bad. He was 438th. He was 315th post-trade deadline is when he started getting more minutes. And I can't believe they would bring him back. Surely not. Same with Gary Harris, another guy who used to be the Kentavious Caldwell-Pope of fantasy, a guy that would always seem high in the rankings and would be a really high steals guy with some interesting three-point shooting numbers and incredibly high field goals playing with Jokic. And injuries, multiple ankle injuries have ruined him. Don't know why there's a picture of Wendell Carter on that. My apologies. He's cooked. Bro, had under 10% usage. He's 31. He averaged 3 points a game. He was a part of the rotation. He still can defend, sort of. 91st percentile deflections. But overall, he's done. He's not getting back to being a starter. 2 years ago, he was a guy that they would always find a way to either start or play 20-plus minutes as a rotation piece. And that's not there anymore. He's 31. The injuries have killed him. The shot is not terrible, 36% from three, but it has left him. It's not at the elite level. I don't know what the hell's going on with 58% shooting from the line. That's horrendous. But Gary's just not that guy anymore. And the only reason, if you see them pick up his $7.5 million team option, I would expect that's because they're looking to trade him. It's not because he's worth that money. And that's all these contract things come with those caveats of, okay, why would they pick that up? Well, it's to give them tradable salary. And if they don't pick it up, they still don't open up cap space anyway. So what would be the point? So just keep an eye on that if that does get picked up. Or what they do, it doesn't mean that Gary Harris is a big part of what they're going to do. I think that it's all sort of gone from Gaz. And the last guy in this over 28 or over 25 group is McClung. Slam dunk champion, of course, and that's really the only footage we've seen of him. Bro played 10 minutes for the season. He didn't score a single point. He did have 3 assists total in those 10 minutes, so that's pretty good. 9 usage. Literally, I'm just telling you that he won the slam dunk title. And I think he might be on a roster because he's got to go in the slam dunk contest, and that's really about it. What else are we getting from Mac? Can even have a look at his G League numbers. He played 32 minutes a night. He averaged 23 points. That's pretty good. 5.5 assists, 0.9 steals. He shot 34% from 3, 48 overall. That's what he is. He's a G League journeyman guard. He is 26. So, I can't say that he's fully reached his potential, and he's probably got more upside than Cory Joseph, but 10 minutes. That's all he played all season. So that's probably all I need to talk about when talking about McClung. The next show, which will be tomorrow, we'll be talking about Franz, Paolo, Black, Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, Jett Howard, the young guys on this squad, and seeing where they can go. So subscribe and you'll never miss an episode. We're going to be pumping out a lot of shows over the next coming week and 2 weeks leading up to the NBA draft. Stick around. Hope you enjoy them. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.